Hey everybody, how's it going? Looking forward to having a wonderful Friday afternoon with you all. Oh my God, we have an amazing show today. Like normal, we're doing it. We're doing it live. We're doing it on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. Right here, Coffee to You and me. I am Coach Powell. My job is to make sure that you get an opportunity to talk about, express, think through, understand everything that you need to do to become a successful small business. Whatever small business you're in, it doesn't matter what industry, it doesn't matter what your setting is. We're going to bring you some great content. We're going to continue to bring you some amazing stories and some great feedback on what's working and what's not working in the world of entrepreneurship. So you can just sit back, relax, have a cup of coffee, get your favorite tea. Make sure that you hang in there with me and begin to understand all the things that we need to do to make sure that you are successful. Today is a special day because we're talking about something that I think is so important when it comes to making your plans for how you're going to execute what you need to execute for your business success. It doesn't matter whether you want to be successful in 2023, 2024, 2025, up into the future. It doesn't matter. You need to have all the common factors associated with that success. And we've been giving you on this lecture series. We're now in series number 19, right? Number 19 of an ongoing series on what it takes for you to be successful. What it's going to take for you to accomplish the things that you need to accomplish in your business. This is going to be a great episode, and I hope you're paying attention because we've got a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss, and a lot of opportunities that are going to be out here for you. So take a look. Today, I want you to take a look at the chat in the comment section. I've already posted. If you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, you can see we've already posted today's workshop. Basically, is coming from my 9 steps to professional mastery, what it takes to you become really good at developing your professional relationships, from soup to nuts, from getting to know you, to beginning to like you, to developing a positive level of trust about you. You need to know how to get through all of those 9 ones. But we're only going to cover in this particular series the first 3 of the 9 steps. We've already talked earlier in this month, and earlier last month we started talking about the 3 steps you got to take that are a major part of the 9-step process. Everybody must take these. If you want to become a networker, if you want to build professional relationships, if you want to bring on the right mentors, if you want to have the right advisory council, you've got to master these 3 steps. First step, learning how to listen. You must learn how to listen. You must learn how to really, really dig deep, ask good questions, make sure you're getting the kind of feedback and the kind of responses that you need to generate that next level of response, which to you is now creating promise. Begin to understand who has promise, begin to understand what your promise can do, and begin to understand how to now create and generate promise. How do you begin to use your level of connection, your level of trust, your level of value, your level of commitment to make a promise for somebody else that's going to create what they need to create in their life? And today we're going to talk about the capstone of all entry-level professional relationships is the follow-up and the follow-through. You have got to understand how to do that exceptionally well. And I want you to hang on, because what we're going to talk about all day today, we're going to talk about for the rest of the show, we're going to talk about follow-up and follow-through, what it means, how do you use it, how you can become more effective with it, how you can create and generate the kind of professional relationships that you need to generate to ensure, to guarantee, to fulfill all your dreams, to make sure all of your success opportunities, your goals, and everything that you need to try to accomplish actually can be and will be accomplished. So don't hang up. Make sure you pay attention. Make sure that you log in. If you're coming to us from, I don't care where you're coming to us from, you're coming to us from LinkedIn, you're coming to us from Facebook, you're coming to us from YouTube, or whatever city, put your information in the chat. Let us know who you are. Let us know where you're coming from. Even if you're watching this and you're watching a recorded version of this, do me a favor, engage with the chat. Put your information in there. Let's make sure that we're creating this atmosphere of engagement, because it's super, super important. Everything is above board and right up there for you. I don't care what your business is. If you have a business, or if you're just looking to get into business, what business are you looking to get into? If you're looking to expand your business. To what level or you want to expand your business? If you're trying to learn marketing strategies, what do you need to learn about marketing strategies? Any question that you have out there, any information that you want to share, is nothing too big or too bad. As long as it is tasteful, I will allow it to stay posted. I will make sure that we talk about it. And if you have a question, I'll make sure we answer those questions. This is an atmosphere of engagement. I want as much engagement as possible so that you feel comfortable asking questions, because it's behind those questions, when you get those answers, that are really, really important. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later on today. But that's super important that you hang on. If you've got some questions about anything in develop your small business, put them in the chat. I may not know all the answers. I probably know a lot of the answers, but let's just think like this. If I don't know, look who might be watching, who might know an answer for you. Why would you let your questions go unfulfilled? Why would you just let your thoughts and ideas just hang out there with no way of knowing if they make sense? Does anybody understand me? You don't have to be that way. You don't have to feel that way. That's not the environment we're trying to create here. We're trying to create an environment of engagement, of empowerment, of opportunity for everyone out there in the Coach Powell universe. And that's a considerable universe. I got thousands and thousands of followers on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, and it's just growing and growing and growing. Speaking of which, don't keep me a secret. If you're watching the show, do me a favor. Make sure that you give me the thumbs up. Make sure that you like the post. Make sure that you share this with as many people as you possibly can. And most of all, subscribe, because you don't want to miss out on anything we're going to do. Next week, we're going to get into, we've already covered a lot of the VisionQuest90 planning process. Next week, I think we're going to get into what it really takes to really dial up your mission and use that. And we'll start that series, and then we'll be done. We have covered everything on the VisionQuest90 wheel, from vision to mission to goal setting to habits to connections. All of that is going to be taken care of, and you can go back and listen to all the way back to lesson number 1, which happened late last fall. And then all the way up through here, you want to see the whole series is hours and hours and hours of training, guys. You have to pay thousands of dollars for. So don't miss out on anything. Again, the chats are all active. The chats are all alive. We're on 3 different channels. I can't imagine a better opportunity than this. And so make sure that you're paying attention. I want to call out one thing before we get started on the show today. Obviously, you guys may know this. So those of you who've been following me, I got another conference coming up in a couple of weeks. It's going to be phenomenal. The Leverage Up conference for this quarter is super good. I mean, the panelists that we have coming out for you guys all day on a Saturday morning, up until about 1 or 2 o'clock. We're just going to be rocking and rolling from 7 in the morning all the way up until 2 o'clock. We're just going to be compounding. It's information that's coming to you live about everything everything imaginable that's hot and popping right now in the small business community. We're going to be talking about cryptocurrency. We're going to be talking about all the infrastructure, new political ideas and technological concepts that are coming out when it comes to blockchain. We're going to be talking about different things about financing. How do you finance your business world today? Using crowdfunding and crowdsourcing, right? We're going to talk about all those things. And we're going to have panelists that are coming in. They're coming in from various different angles of those whole thing. And it's going to be so much fun, guys. It's going to be so much fun. You got to check it out. It was only $49. You probably missed the discount, but here's a secret. If you know Coach Powell, you follow up with me directly, you talk to me, I might be able to get you in for the early bird price. Not making any commitments, but I might be able to hook you up. But you got to call me. You got to talk to the brother. If you need the help, I'm going to make sure you get the help. Other than that, you got to pay the big price now, because unfortunately, all the early bird tickets are sold out. And unless I make up, an exception, and I will if you do the work. I mean, if you're going to engage and you're going to call me, you're going to follow up with me, I'm going to do the work and make sure you get opportunities. And so let's make sure you do that. All the information is in the chat right there, so you can pick it up. If you're watching us live on Facebook or on YouTube, you can see the links for both those events. And today's topic, let's get into it after these messages. Okay, we are ready to rock and roll. This is Coach Powell from Coach Powell Training Development, and it's Coffee Tea, you and me, every Friday for the last 20 years. I've been getting together with entrepreneurs around about the 3 o'clock hour to share ideas and come up with different skills and get that camaraderie going, things that we all need. Now, one of the reasons why I started doing this, guys, was because I know that entrepreneurship is a lonely thing. So many of us are out there, we're all by ourselves trying to make it happen. And it's just super important that you know that you're not in this alone. No matter what your family may say, and there might be people telling you, why don't you get a real job, or it might be people telling you, you're not doing well enough, or your idea will never take off, and so on and so forth. Literally, it's just a matter of time before you have your breakthrough success. It's just a matter of time before you do the amazing thing that you're trying to do. You just got to keep hanging in there. You just got to keep doing it and keep learning and keep growing. As long as you're learning and growing, you're doing good. So you have a deserve, and you deserve the right to be happy, to be satisfied, to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. As long as you keep pushing forward, as long as you keep growing, that's a good thing. So don't let anybody tell you, oh, entrepreneurship is too hard. Yes, it's hard. Oh, entrepreneurship, it really sucks. Yes, it does suck sometimes. Oh, entrepreneurship, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. It could be hairy. It could be scary. It could be even hopeless at sometimes. But that doesn't matter. What matters is you have the perseverance, you have the determination, you have the will to plow through. Doesn't mean you're going to keep going bumping your head against a brick wall. You have to learn, you have to grow, you have to change, you have to pivot when you need to pivot, and you need to learn how to do that. That's what the show is all about. It's giving you those moments where you can find ways to pivot, where you can find ways to accept new ideas and new thoughts and new opportunities. Okay, so we've been talking about the first 3 steps of the 9-step process. And we talked about listening. We talked about how important that is to you. How important it is for you to learn what you have to learn, hear everything you need to hear from your target market, from your referral sources, from your supporters, everything you need to hear so that you can follow up and be brilliant at the basics, right? We talked about creating promise. We talked about understanding what promise really is and how to use it effectively. And now we're going to take it to the next level. This is the most important piece of the 9-step process. Follow up and follow through. What do you think about that? What do you think the keys are to follow up and follow through? I'm going to tell you, it's real simple. It's about understanding the rules of expectation. If you don't know about expectation and what expectations are all about, then you're not going to get the real true benefits of follow up and follow through. Let me break it down for a little bit. Now, if you're watching this and you're following me through the 9-step process, you can go look at the workbook and find the section that says follow up and follow through, and you can learn a lot. There's lots of exercises, lots of interesting information, lots of tidbits that are coming out of different sources out there for you. So there's tons of tactics and tons of things. But I want to talk to you today about really the essence of follow up and follow through. What is it? The key to follow up and follow through is understanding expectation. Again, the key to follow up and follow through is understanding expectation. What is the expectation? Why is expectation important? And what can it do for you? Only then will you know how to use follow up and follow through correctly to achieve the benefits that I'm going to talk about a little bit later about what that is. So let's think about it. Psychiatrists all over the world understand that when a human being receives some kind of expectation, some kind of anticipation of something they know is going to happen, something they want to happen, something they desire, what happens is, all of a sudden, your brain, from the primal parts of your brain all the way up to, the prefrontal cortex, where you make all your executive functioning decisions, all of your emotions get flooded, and you get flooded with this chemical called dopamine. Yeah, that one. That feel-good chemical called dopamine, right? Dopamine is an amazing chemical. Your brain gets flooded whenever there's any anticipation of any type of reward. It doesn't matter what the reward is. It could be a big reward, it could be a small reward. But dopamine is your brain's response to the thought process that something positive, something interesting, something good is about to happen to you. And all of a sudden, just because you're anticipating it, you're going to get that flood of dopamine. This is super important. That's rule number 1 about positive expectations, right? Whenever you set positive expectations, you set in motion the dopamine response. For those who have active normal brains, that's exactly what happens. Okay, second thing that happens. that you need to understand. Dopamine is literally the neurotransmitter of all desire. I want you to think about that. Everything we want, everything we love, everything we think about, everything we care about, everything we want comes through this process. So in the beginning, we got to start thinking about what we want, and all of a sudden, we start wanting it more. Right? It's just like that. It's the key to desire. Without the dopamine, right? We don't have openness. We're not willing to explore and find new things. We don't have curiosity. We're not willing to ask deeper questions and engage in an intense and meaningful way. We don't even have interest. We're not interested in things that we don't care about, things that we don't want, things that we don't like, things that we don't enjoy. And we can't focus. You know, dopamine has that creative thing, but it makes us go, oh my God, look at all this wonder, look at all this beauty, look at all this glamour, look at all this special, succulent, juicy stuff. This it's focus. It makes you focus, and then boom, memory. That's what all the things that happen, right? But when you have a flood of dopamine, it improves so many things. It improves your openness, your curiosity, your interest, your focus, and your memory. That's thing 2. Thing 3. You got to know about expectations, right? Because that dopamine does so much for you, right? It literally causes you to be happy. And when you're happy, again, you can focus, your memory works better, you're interested, you're engaged, you're excited, you're fantastic to be around, people love you, everything's working well. When you have those high expectations and everything's working well, all of a sudden you're happy and you can perform at your best. We already know the strategy is already in, the science is already in, the numbers already tell the story to this one. We already know that success is a precursor of happiness, not the other way around. You need to be happy before you can be sustainably successful. Now, you can have a couple of one-term hits every once in a while because you worked hard or because somebody landed an opportunity, landed in your lap and all that kind of stuff. But in order to sustain it, you have to have a base level of happiness, or it's just going to go bye-bye. Even if the success remains, you won't feel good about it because you don't have any more dopamine. And so you got to really think about this, right? That brings us to thing 3, which is 4, which is the most important aspect of how we handle expectations, right? We already talked about how dopamine gets you flooded, right? Just floods your brain, all that kind of stuff. And then you all of a sudden your desire opens up. You know, you're awake and you're clear about what you want, what you really can salivate over, right? And then all of a sudden now you're understanding what happiness is starting. You're starting to feel joyful and gleeful, and you're able to perform at your best. That's it. The last thing you need to know about expectations, and this is what every leader needs to know, when you can manage expectation within yourself and within your teams, this is the key to successful performance outcomes. Let me say it again. When you can manage success, when you can manage expectation for yourself and your team, you have found the key to extremely high levels of sustainable performance outcomes. This is super, super, super important, guys. I hope you're following. I hope you're paying attention. Let me tell you what my man Zig Ziglar has to say about following up and follow through. He says that it was character that got us out of the bed. It was commitment that moved us into action. And it was discipline that enabled us to follow through. So if you understand this dopamine response, right? I already told you, dopamine makes you more open. It makes you more interesting. It makes you more curious. That's a person with great character, right? It makes you perform better. That's the person who could bring commitment to the party, right? It gives you the action, so you're not fearful because you're so excited about what you get to do. And the more you do it at a high level, the more disciplined you become at doing it. This is all what follow through does for you. This is all what follow through enables the possibility of our loves, our passions, the things that we're interested in, the businesses that we're trying to run. Now, I know some of you are out there going, but what if it's about money for me? That's okay if you can sustain it. The trick is being able to sustain it, because Usually what happens when it comes, if you're performing for money, and money, you find happiness and joy in money. What we find out that happens over time is you actually need more and more and more and more money to satisfy that itch. And it turns you into a greed monster. So it's not a good source, it's not a good sustainable source, because you have to continue to increase what you do in order to get the same dopamine hit, in order to maintain the level of excitement, of joy, of happiness, right? So I would suggest that you find other ways to become happy. And following up and following through is a way to generate a level of connection and commitment with other people that will allow them to give you the feedback that you need to keep moving forward, to keep setting expectations, to keep managing expectations, to keep exceeding expectations, to keep managing expectations, to keep setting expectations, to exceeding expectations, and managing expectations. And pretty soon, you're just an expectation management machine. You know how to create joy. It's all about the follow-up and the follow-through. Now, go back to what I said earlier. If you don't listen well, what are you going to make a promise to do? What are you going to promise to do? Where are you going to be excited? Where are you going to be interested? Where, if you don't listen well, how are you going to follow up and follow through with anything, right? What are you going to make a promise on? And if you don't make any promises, if you don't keep any commitments, if you don't find something interesting, somebody else who has talent, who has gifts, who have skills that you think are passionate and have a reason to exist, then what are you going to do? How will you ever collaborate? How will you ever get to a point where you can encourage one another? How will you ever communicate effectively the things that are most desirable in your life? So you need all three of these systems to truly be a successful networker. Let me share a couple other things with you. Dr. Anthony Robbins, Tony Robbins, those of you who know him, said this: success comes from taking the initiative and following up, persisting, eloquently expressing the depth of your love. He didn't say the depth of your interest. He didn't say the depth of your money. He said the depth of your love. Success comes from taking the initiative and following up, persisting eloquently, expressing the depth of your love. Just drop the mic right there. What else can I say? You know, if you don't want to follow up, it's because you're not interested. It's not desirable for you. You're not getting the dopamine hit. It's just a job. It's just a technique. It's just a strategy. It's not something that's going to excite you, not something that's going to engage with you, not something that's going to motivate you. You can't do it for a long term because you're actually doing damage to yourself. See, the flip side of expectations is when they're not met, the dopamine lowers in your brain. So when you make a promise to follow up, you get somebody all excited, you make a promise you're going to do something, they're all excited, they think it's going to happen, they have an expectation, they get that dopamine hit, and then you don't come through with it. Then you don't do the thing that you said you were going to do. You don't create the thing that you said you were going to create. You don't give them the thing that, or provide the benefit that you said that you were going to provide. You're letting people down, and you're letting yourself down. You're giving yourself a kick in the self-esteem, right? And you're giving other people the kick in their ability to trust. And you're making it more and more difficult for them to trust others, especially people who say and do and look exactly like you say and do and look when you disappointed them, right? So when you don't meet expectations, it's a disappointment. It's a letdown. It's a letdown of the dopamine in your brain. Now, what happens to your brain when you have less dopamine than you need? All of a sudden, you're confused. All of a sudden, you're lethargic. All of a sudden, you don't want to make any decisions. All of a sudden, you're fearful. All of a sudden, blame, shame, and all the things that we hate show up in your world and show up in your universe. You can't believe you let that person trick you into this talk or thinking that this was going to be a positive thing one last time. You can't believe you accepted this opportunity, and now look at what happened to you. Disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. You're mad at yourself for not being able to choose better. You know, all these things happen when you make promises, you set expectations, and then you don't deliver. The smart leaders make sure they set expectations not so low that it's just not even interesting, but just high enough that the people around them go, oh, wow, we can do this. We want to do this. We're excited. This is interesting. Let's get this done. Let's go. It's a stretch, right? But not a break. Like, I believe in stretch goals all the time. Let's do a little bit more than you did yesterday. Let's do a little bit better than you did last month. Let's do a little bit better than you did last quarter, last year. Don't try to go to, I'm going to multiply what I did last year by 5 or 6 times. If that happens, cool bonus, accept the win, keep rolling with the strategy. However, that's not always going to happen. You're not always going to get, 100% doubling your ratio, tripling your ratio of success. What you're going to get is a sustainable, predictable level of growth that you now can pattern at a level of systematized success that you can continue to grow and maintain a level of satisfaction and happiness as you do what it is you do. But you got to find that joy. You got to create those expectations right up front. For those of you who feel like you have to do something that you don't want to do, you need to ask yourself the question. And I encourage you to do that. How long can you do it? How long can you go on, in a dead-end job? How long can you go on in a bad business venture? How long can you go on in a twisted business relationship? How long can you tolerate not having what you desire? How long can you do it? And how many times can you set people up for failure before you become having a reputation, by the way, of not following up and follow through? How long can you set high expectations that you can't even deliver on, and then later on you're embarrassed and you have to say I'm sorry, or you ghost the person because you set this expectation you can't manage and you're too ashamed to come clean. I know this happens to all of you. Don't get me wrong. No, none of us are a saint. We've all made promises that we intend to keep, but something happens in life and then we can't keep the promise. But it's how you act at that point. That's where your character is. How you manage those expectations and how you change and reevaluate what you're doing and how you're doing. That's what literally matters in all follow up and follow through opportunities. Let's get a little deeper about this, because I want to talk to you about what happens in the beginning of the follow up. I'm going to talk about what happens during the follow up, and I want to talk about after the follow up. All right. Here's what happens. And I have personal stories that relate to this truth. Before, when you first start to think of something amazing, something that you want, something that you desire, you get that dopamine hit, that great. Somebody comes along and they say, I can get that for you. Then you're starting to get even a higher level of kick, right? You all of a sudden, you're like, wow, this is possible. This can really happen. And then, you're there, right? You're like, I can see this. You're starting to spend the money already. You're starting to see the success. You can see the awards that you're about to get. You can see the places you're about to go, the people that you're about to see, the stages you're about to be on. You can see all this because somebody heard you when they said, this is what you need. This is what you're going to do. And I can make this happen for you, right? They made a promise that they can make this happen for you, or they indicated that they know somebody who can make this happen for you, or they could give you the money that you need, or they can invest in your business, or they could, give you the support that you need. They can teach you what you need to learn. Whatever it is, they set an expectation. And an expectation has helped you now to feel good about the possibilities. And you might even talk yourself unrealistically into believing that this is really going to happen. And that's where the problems are. Is when you set the expectations so high and then it doesn't get done. It doesn't happen for whatever reason. Even if people do what they say they're going to do and it's not what you expected, then you're taking a dopamine hit and it's going to be a letdown because you expect it to be here and it's really here. Whatever the level of commitment or success was. So you have to be very careful in the beginning of the follow-up process. You want to make sure you set the proper expectations that you really can deliver on. If somebody is excited about something that you want to deliver, you want to make sure you understand what that excitement is all about. Back to listening, right? If somebody said to me, I want to do a business plan. I want to really create something that's going to be really unique and special and so on and so forth. Can you help me? I'm going to get all excited, right? Because I'm like, I know I can help you with that, right? I know I can, but time out. Let's dig a little deeper. If you start talking about a plan that's going to be, it's going to happen. You have to actually, it's about location, right? You have to have a specific location in order for it to work right. That's not me. I can't help you with that. I'm not the location guy. Or if you start talking about something that has to do with display or some type of a marketing in a retail sense, I'm not good with that. I can't help you with that. But now if you're talking about a service, or I got you all day long, that's what I'm good at. So I have to ask the question, time out. I know you need a business plan. What you need a business plan for? You need a business plan to expand your medical practice, or make your CPA practice work, or your engineering practice, or your architectural firm, or your mortgage or real estate business crack. I can make that happen, right? We can do that exceptionally well. But now, if you're talking about stuff outside the scope of what I'm already good at, what I already know and validate that I can do, then I can't make the promise that's going to work for you. And I want to be able to make the promise that's going to work for you. So you come to me, you say, I got this I want this thing. I got to make sure by listening and giving you feedback that we are straight about what you truly can expect from my systems, my services, my strategy, right? That's the beginning of the promise. Now let's just say we're in execution phase, right? When you're in execution phase, you're about to execute on the promises that you deliver. What's going to happen in that moment is all things become clear, right? The truth comes to light. The things that you didn't know, you find out. The things that you thought you suspected, and they're right there in your face. All of a sudden, people can see the reality of the situation. And usually, what happens, especially in my world, people are blown away by the level of connection and success they start to see for themselves. And I'm actually blown away because I didn't know when we get this thing started how happy and successful they were going to be. And so I'm getting the feedback from them how happy and successful they're going to be. I knew it was going to work, right? I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know how good, and I haven't received the feedback yet. But once I received the feedback, all of a sudden, whoa, we got amazing clarity. Right? We got amazing clarity on what we need to do, how we need to do it, who's going to do it, who's going to do what, when, where, why, how much it's going to cost, where it's going to go, and when are we going to be able to take that check? When are we going to be able to write that check to the bank and pay back that loan, or do whatever we got to do to move to the next level, right? When is that going to happen? You start to see all that, and this is just what happens once you start to experience clarity, and that's what you only experience by executing on the promise. Right? The next thing, the last thing, now after the fact is, after you've done the daring do, after you've accomplished the goal, after you've achieved the thing that you want to achieve with the person, whatever that thing is, now all of a sudden you got, what next? Guess what? You start chasing that next dopamine hit. You have to make another promise. You got to go right back into the same system, listening again. You got to go back in the same system, understanding promise again. You understand, go back into the same system, follow up and follow through. Because things are outside of your scope to do. Guess what? You got to find other people who have the kind of professional expertise needed to carry out whatever the new demand is to move things to the next level, either for yourself or for somebody else. Because you got to keep growing. This is a system, right? And the more you use other people, the more you connect with other people, the more you understand other people and work through other people, the more you're going to grow. And the more they're going to grow, and the more you're going to meet other people, and more open minds, and more concepts, and more ideas, and there's going to be more growth there, and you're going to grow, and all of a sudden you're just in a massive growth, just continuing to grow. And it's not always going to happen in a fast pace, always going to happen at a level of intensity, but it's always going to happen as long as you're looking, as long as you're chasing that next dopamine hit, that next plan to follow up and follow through, that next opportunity. And if you're chasing growth, you'll find it. And when you find it, you're going to get a chance to capitalize on it and move yourself forward. That is what all of this stuff is all about. And that's how it works. Guys, I don't know about you, but I'm planning to follow up and follow through with anything and everything, and all the promise that I'm able to find in other people, and all the promise I'm able to dig up in myself and grow within myself and change within myself for as long as I live. I know that I'm gifted, and I know you're gifted too. And I know that you were put here for a reason. And your reason can only happen when you follow up and you follow through. That's our talk for today. I hope you had a good time. I know I did. Listen, in the document that I just shared with you is a lot of exercises that you can go through to start to work through and develop the habit of following up and following through. But you got to go through you got to do the work. And this doesn't happen overnight, because whatever things got you where you are right now won't get you where you want to go in the future. You've got to be willing to change. You got to be willing to examine. You got to be willing to reframe, and you got to be willing to restart and kickstart and keep going and keep moving forward. This is Coach Powell, and I'm out. Had a great time, had a great program. If you got a chance to see this, definitely hit me back with some feedback. Let me know if you like the show, if you want to see something different, you have some questions, throw that information in the chat. I'm going to pick it up no matter where you are, whether we're on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Facebook, and we're going to keep this party going. This is Coffee Tea, You and Me, and I'm out.